If this is not out of the realm of comfort for me, I don't know what is, because I don't typically do a nudie look. This is the Jordan Liberty Masterclass Volume 2 collaboration with Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ara. If you're new here, I am a huge lover of indie makeup and luxury beauty, but today I wanted to focus more on indie makeup because Blend Bunny and Jordan Liberty collaborated yet again for a new masterclass, Volume 2. This is the face palette, face sculpting palette, and I used this entire palette for my full face, minus the lips. You're gonna have to forgive me on that one. I will have all of the details in the description box below. If you use any of those links to make a purchase, I just want to say you are supporting my channel. Thank you so very much. I do earn a small commission on most of the links there, but I'm not going to hold you. We're going to jump right into swatches and right into this look because this is out of the realm of comfort for me. I don't typically do nude looks, but here we are. Before I dive into the Blend Bunny products, I want to point out I'm testing out the Huda Beauty Matcha Milk Cake Easy Bake Powder. I usually use the shade Cherry Blossom Cake. I don't use it as often, I'll be honest. The About Face Powder, I tend to use the Curtain Call in Finale quite a bit more. I like it a little bit better for my dry leaning skin. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, I do enjoy it. I did want to get the green one because I want to see how it dulls out my redness and kind of neutralizes that. I'm wearing a skin tint today. This is the Armani skin tint. I wanted to kind of let that redness peek through. I'm going to use this one on the left side of my face and just kind of work it into my puff here. And then I'll use the Cherry Blossom on the right side of my face. I don't have too much trouble with my skin. I don't have too many imperfections. That's where I was trying to go with that statement. And I am very lucky in that regard. So I don't struggle too much with my base, but I know there's a lot of you out there who do. So let's just see if this will do what a lot of us with any redness and imperfections want it to do. I don't typically put any green powder under my eyes. Granted, I think this is the first one I have. I don't even use a green color corrector. Let me put that out there. I don't use green color corrector. I tend to use just my concealer and avoid anything green. I felt like it never truly worked for me. Oh wow, if I do too much powder, I can see it on the bridge of my nose there. Let me try this under my eyes and see how well this neutralizes even the pink brightening under eye brightener by Natasha Denona that I'm trying out. Let's do the Cherry Blossom on this side and see if there is much of a difference. I'm gonna use a different puff so that I make sure I don't mix them on the right side of my face. And let's just see if there is much of a difference. Before I brush off the excess powder, I do want to say quality of life changes for the packaging is a plus. I'm going to brush this away, but I do want to show you it's very, very subtle. I can see in my reflection the green powder kind of sitting on my skin. I can see the pink powder sitting on my skin. When I brush them away, it looks fine. My under eyes aren't looking the best right now. I'm going to zoom you in just to kind of give you a better look at how different each side looks. For me, in my viewfinder, it looks a little more yellow and a little more pink on my right side. So left side doesn't look as bright as the right side. I think it kind of toned it down just a touch. If you're just a random stranger on the street, you're not going to know the difference. I noticed the difference in the mirror. That you are just going to be your harshest critic. I can see it. I don't think anybody else is going to notice. I can kind of tell a difference. It does look as though my pink red cheeks here is a little more toned down on the matcha milk side. I'm going to help bring a little bit of the life back to my face. I feel like it might be a little too matte for me. I'm gonna use the Dior Backstage Spray. I've been using this for the last couple days. This thing is fantastic. It's got a little more oomph to it from the nozzle. I genuinely think I like it more than the Charlotte Tilbury. Enough of that, let's get into the Blend Bunny Masterclass version 2 with Jordan Liberty. I did pick up the Fair Light palette and the entire pencil collection. It also had the black pencil again, and I already had that one. This formula, I feel as though the tip is a little gentle. You got to be a little gentle with it. But no, it's so good, lasts so long. I have swatches on my Instagram, so if you want to see the swatches, and I'm pretty sure I've already put them in this video, but if you want to see them, they're on Instagram if you need to compare them for your complexion. This is not something I typically gravitate to. I don't typically pull face palettes. Face palettes for me take just a lot for me to want to reach for. There's a lot of room for error with the face palette, which is why I stopped buying the Hourglass as well. I don't typically reach for them or use every shade in there, and it's really got to be worth it. Masterclass version 1, volume 1. I don't own that one because I couldn't justify needing a face palette that large. The pans are enormous, and with that price point, I knew I wasn't going to reach for it. I just know me. They just sit in the bottom of my drawer, and I stopped buying them. I had to tell myself, quit it, girl. You don't even use them all. I have found that this has almost every single shade I could want, including this one. So this is typically a bronzer shade I didn't think I'd reach for. It's a little more warm. However, when I swatched it, I was like, I can really get away with that. It looks good on my arm. But as of right now, Palo Santo is the only shade I haven't worn on my face. I have worn the other 7. This powder shade, I used it to finish off my entire face a couple days ago. I used it like a finishing powder, and it was magnificent. There was no flashback in the photos, and I just felt like it blurred everything together. This is a beautiful, cool-toned gray contouring powder. And then this shade here is like my heavenly bronzing contour all in one. It's even called Brontour, so bronze and contour at the same time. If you don't want to use both a bronzer and a contour, let me show you just how amazing this looks. I don't have nails, I'm sorry. I do nursing and I just struggle. And I play video games, so I don't like the nails. Well, I do like nails. Sidetrack, squirrel moment. Here's contour, here's brontour, and bronze. This brontour is for all you fair complexion, light complexion girls who have struggled to find the perfect in between. You don't want it too cool, like goth leaning, but you don't want it too neutral warm like this bronzer. I personally like the more neutral aspect of a bronzer and feel like I can just wear it a little bit easier for an every day-to-day situation. The only highlighter shade here I thought was going to be a little too deep for me, and it wasn't. It was actually a pretty good shade for my fair skin. As always with Blend Bunny, this is vegan and cruelty free. It is a 12-month shelf life. I don't have the weight of the pans in front of me, so I couldn't tell you right now, but it'll be on the screen and listed down below for you. And if you've stuck with me to this point and you like today's video and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that like button. Let the algorithm know that you like this video and subscribe for more content. I don't typically post as frequently as I used to. I'm trying to get better at doing at least 2 to 3 videos a month. And this video is reminding me that I absolutely need to clean my brushes before I do my Sephora haul video. I'm gonna start by taking the shade Calico, which is the actual contour shade, and sculpt out my nose, because I always do with my Kaleidos. If you've been with me this long, I always do with my Kaleidos contour trio, and this one is gonna work just as well. And I don't like how, at least I feel, large my nose is, so I always contour. And then I've really gotten into contouring here up into the brow bone and kind of shaping out this bone a little bit better. I feel as though it really makes the shape of my eye look quite a bit better. The one thing I will say about contour shades, and you might not have this problem, but I do, is I feel it can very quickly make my face look dirty, and I try to be a little careful with what shades I use for contour and how much, because I really think if I overdo it, I look as though I've got soot on my face, and I feel a little ridiculous when I look in the mirror, and I have to wonder if other people look at me and think I've been sweeping chimneys. Quite frankly, at this point, it'd probably be a little bit more fun. And now I'm gonna take Calico on a Danessa Myricks My Kitco 11 brush. I didn't find the brush I wanted to use, which is shaped just a little more pointy, but I think this will work for contour. And I'm just gonna kind of chisel out my cheekbone here on the left side of my face. This just looks like such a good shadow that I can get away with under bronzer. And then I'll use Bronzer on the right side of my face, so you can kind of see the difference with the bronzer and the contour versus just using a Bronzer. So let's just contour the entire double chin we got going on here. And then I always contour my forehead because it's enormous. So if you've got a 5 head like myself and you contour, you can do the entire thing with either the Bronzer or the contour shade in this palette, and it still looks good. The left side of my face is sculpted here, and I just feel like that was very easy to do. So it's a very good formulation. And now for the Bronzer shade, this is Downplay. I'm gonna use a Sigma Kristen Dominique brush. For this type of shade, I always use more of a larger brush. I feel like I will cover more surface area and it still looks good. So I'm gonna use this one. And this, I just kind of spin the brush around, pick it all up in that regard. I can't remember, it's called the All Over Face Precision Brush. I didn't dip that into that contour shade. Looks like I might have. This shade is why I truly wanted to buy the entire palette, or buy the palette rather. This one, I feel like you're not gonna get a whole lot of shades like this that can do both contour and bronze and work on a fair complexion. At least not in the mainstream market. You're either gonna get a contour or you're gonna get a bronze. Not much of a 2-in-1 situation that I have yet to find. And I genuinely prefer just kind of doing a larger, more haphazard sweeping motion for a shade like this. Plus it'll give you a chance to really see how it looks on my complexion. Now let's knock out this giant noggin. And I don't think I can even overdo this shade. I have tried to really build it up. The first time I wore this palette, I was like, let me see how far I can take this. Let me see how much I can build this up, and it still looked really good. I don't feel I went too crazy with this, but I want to show you in the viewfinder why I love this shade called Downplay, in a true Bronzer type of shade that you can use for both knock out a contour and a bronzer in your makeup kit, whatever it is, your travel bag, and just have the one. It doesn't look overdone. I'm gonna use the finishing powder anyway, but even with just this contour shade, Calico, I still feel like, well, I can get a sculpt and it's gonna look better when I put the bronzer over it without using any other products. This is good. Mojave is a bronze light shade versus a true matte bronze. They're very similar in terms of tone. This one, Mojave, has a subtle shine to it, a very subtle sheen, and it gives a little soft lit from within glow. I prefer, I'm gonna butcher the name, but Iguazu. I like this one on my forehead way more. I try to avoid anything with the sheen on my forehead. I don't want too much attention to it. Palo Santo is a little warmer, but it's also matte. I cleaned off my Sephora 50 brush the best I can. I'm gonna start with the shade Iguazu, the matte one. I'm gonna try to stop saying it. But I'm gonna do my forehead first because I feel like it's gonna be easier for me to pick up a matte shade versus a little more of a reflective shade for my cheekbone, and I don't really want that on my cheekbone. So we're gonna start with the forehead and just kind of put that over the contour that I laid down, and hopefully you can see what I meant. Like it still gives a very healthy shadow. And I just place it right over the top of that contour. And if you bring your bronzer too low, like I do sometimes, the powder, the finishing powder, just fixes all of it. I'm gonna clean that off the best I can and then pick up Mojave. And I try to do it a little more on the tip of the brush. And just place that right over that contour, more focused in this back area. I have a large face, I think, so hopefully you can see a little bit more of a difference with the forehead and the cheek. Let me zoom you in a little bit so you can see what I mean. So the cheekbone here has that very subtle like glow from within. It looks gorgeous. The forehead, let me get some of my hair out of the way here. The forehead looks a little bit more matte, but it still has a very healthy matte. Like, it doesn't feel flat and it doesn't feel dull. Even with that contour shade underneath, it still looks amazing. It might be hard for you to see on camera, but it has that subtle shine to it and glow, which I feel is gonna look beautiful in the summer. Not like I'm in a hurry to get outside and go do anything, but it still looks so lovely. Forehead with the bronzer shade looks very close to the bronzer and the contour. So bronzer, contour, and bronzer. And even though I'm not a fan of my enormous forehead, I still feel as though this did the entire thing the left side did. This did the job quicker and with less product versus this side using both products. The difference, the versatility of Calico, the contour shade, being able to truly focus that where I want it and use a little bit more or less depending on how sculpted I truly want to look. This is Basque. This is a very neutral, leaning slightly more warm blush shade. And this is a very beautiful, subtle blush. Not my preferred color of blush, but it works and it truly brings the entire palette together. I feel as though of his 2 Masterclass face palettes, this one's the most appropriate to put in this palette. I don't think I would ever get enough use out of the first Masterclass face palette that he launched, but for a face palette with a bronzer and contour situation, I will get a lot more use out of this blush shade, and I can use it as something to warm up my face if I feel it's a little too cool. What if I want to use it over the contour? I haven't done that yet, but I can if I want to, and it will look fabulous. But I think this one is the most appropriate, and I think the undertone suits what he was going for, Jordan Liberty, in this palette. And I'm not a makeup artist, but he is very talented, and I trust that he knew what he was doing, and he did, and it works. Balos. This is a beautiful finishing powder. I'm actually going to pick it up on a jumbo bronze brush from Sonia G. I've had this for quite a while. I just want to chisel out underneath my cheekbones first and truly define that area. I don't want to use this brush all over my face, but I think this one will give me a little bit more of that defined sculpted look here in the back of my cheekbones. I'm going to take a different Sonia G brush. This is a smaller face brush. I think it's got Classic Cheek. It's a blush brush, but here we are. I'm going to use it anyway. I'm going to use this just to kind of do around the bridge of my nose, define a little bit of that blush, tone it down just a little bit and give it more of an airbrushed approach, and just do the left side of my face so you can see what I mean by it is an incredible finishing powder. And I always use a finishing powder. I always finish my face with a finishing powder. I feel like it just kind of gives that airbrushed finished look. This is what I mean by this side looks a little bit more refined. I'm going to use the highlighter Lumbre on my cheekbones first before I do my eyes. I fibbed. I was going to do my eyes, but I want to show you this shade without my eye makeup being in the way. Very subtle, and yet still very beautiful, and gives me a healthy glow. I don't feel as overdone. I've brought you a very healthy distance in. I'm going to take the shade Downplay here on a Melt 818 brush and kind of just sweep that all through the brow bone here. Just give myself a little bit of definition and shape. I'm taking that gray calico shade on a Danessa Merrick's My Kitco 31 brush. I believe it's a 31, yes. And just on that tip, kind of sweep through where my crease naturally folds. I have like 2 creases on the left eye. I'm very oddly shaped, very strange. Just kind of build up in that crease. I haven't used the shade Palo Santo yet, so I'm going to use this, and my battery's about to die. I'm going to focus this on the outer corner and then swap that battery out. Battery's solved, so I'm going to pick up Iguazu on this small Danessa Myricks My Kitco 23 brush and do my lower lash line. And then I primed my lashes already. So I did tightline before I got started with the Chanel gel liner. Trying to get into the habit of doing that. On a Sigma E25, I'm going to take the shade Basque. I don't really want a pink shade on my lids, but I think I'm just going to put it right here in the center and blend it into that Palo Santo shade. I cleaned off that brush, and with that shade Balos, I'm actually just going to sweep it all over the lid. And then since it doesn't have much color or pigment to it, rather, just kind of all over Basque and blend it all together. And then one more time, this time around, I'm just gonna bring it to the brow bone there and sweep out those contour shades. But I'm gonna take Lumbra. If I mispronounce it, I'm very sorry. Just gonna do the brow bone. I'm gonna take Calico on a Sydney Grace angled brush and just kind of build up this lash line here. Oh, it might be a little too gray of a definition. I think I'll be able to say I used every single shade if I use Mojave to kind of deepen up that liner just a little bit. Yes, that looks better. I have 8 pencils here for you. There are 5 that I picked out in general, but because the price point was so good for the entire bundle of 8, I went ahead and just bought all 8. It made more sense for me that way. The shade 917 is my favorite nude shade. So I'm actually gonna wear this one today. I did pick up one of the lip glaze. It's a lip glaze, but it's like a glossy oil and it feels magnificent. I keep it in my scrubs at work and I keep reapplying it because it feels so good and hydrating. I don't feel like my lips peel up. I've been wearing 917 for this last week. I love this shade. I'm gonna show you what it looks like on my lips by itself. It's like my lips, but better. And for the glaze, this is the shade In the Flesh, a little more cool mauve-y leaning. She looked good. It looked good. It's lovely. It complements the entire like nude look, like no makeup. While my toddler's having a meltdown, I'm gonna go ahead and swatch these for you. This is the shade Push. A little bit more nude, safe word, a little more pale, pinky undertone there. Fair Game, close to the other one, just a little bit deeper in tone. And then the shade that I'm wearing is 917, a little more cool leaning. And then this is the shade Faded. Very beautiful. It's kind of got an olive undertone to it. This is the shade Pony Up, a little more true brown. Low Key, a rich mahogany. And then Rated R, which is an absolutely deep black. While that is drying just a little bit, I want to tell you just kind of a side note, if you wear House of Lashes, I wear a ton of House of Lashes. They are some of my favorite lashes. They have a new style called Yumi. I'm wearing these today. I first applied them at the end of last week, and as soon as I took them off of the packaging, they ripped. I had several of the lashes kind of come off in clumps. They were clusters that just kind of stayed glued to that packaging. It's the first time I've had that experience with my House of Lashes. So I reached out to them and they sent me a new pair to replace the ones that had unintentionally. I really don't think that I had messed this up. This wasn't really user error. I'm pretty good at saying when it's user error. I admit to my own faults. It was just the way they were on the band. These are handmade and they're all delicately placed fibers, but they did replace them and send me new ones in the mail. And I just want to point out that is very good customer service. The quality, I thought maybe it'd be a little more mid-range. This rivals my luxury powders, my luxury bronzers, my luxury contour, but all in one face palette at a much more palatable price point. My viewfinder says that I have 7 minutes and 55 seconds as far as starting this. So the liners have been on since the beginning of that. Let me start by just kind of rubbing it off with my finger. excuse the way I phrase that, phrasing, very sorry, with my finger. And you can tell I am not being gentle with my arm at all. I mean, I'm really, really, really attempting to smear it, and they're not going anywhere. I'm gonna take my makeup wipe. I've been using it this entire video. We're gonna give that a go because it took me a lot of work to get them off of my arm after I had swatched them for photos. I mean, I am scrubbing. Look how hard I'm scrubbing my arm. It's turning red. Very well done, Blend Bunny. Very, very well done. Congratulations to you and Jordan. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for spending your day with me. Not something I typically go for. I usually do way too much and reach for way too many products, but I appreciate your time. And if you have not done something for yourself already, do something for yourself today because you are worth it.